The build crafting and Destiny has changed forever with the launch of Lightfall. Updates to mods, the removal of elemental wells, the armor charge system. It's a lot of stuff to cover. Many people have said that it's a major step back in terms of build crafting, but the truth is, I think that most people are just confused. That's why I'm going to explain the new build crafting system to you in simple, easy to understand terms, and you don't need to have a college math degree or be Dado to figure it out. Let's get to it and talk about all the changes and what you can do to update your builds to make it work. So anyone who's been paying attention knows that the elemental wells system is basically gone, but they took some pieces of it and smushed it together in with all the charged with light mods, and now we have the armor charge system. Now the wells are not completely gone, they've just transformed. They are now the 5 in-game subclass specific objects. For example, we've got the ionic traces for arc, the fire sprites for solar, the void breaches for void, the old stasis shard system, which was kind of the formula for everything else, and then the strand threadlings and tangles. I've seen a few YouTube guides on builds and they skip over the 5 in-game objects. And I think that that's a real waste because it's actually one of the keys to making this new system work phenomenally well. So the key to build crafting in Lightfall and the future relies on 2 things: generation of orbs of power and the creation of the 5 in-game subclass specific objects. Orbs of power are key to getting the armor charges, so what we're going to do is talk about the easiest ways to generate orbs of power on your character with the new system. The one that we care about is the armor mods. There are multiple mods that will help you generate orbs of power. For example, there is the solar, void, arc, stasis, strand, and harmonic siphons on the helmet slot. All of the elemental specific mods cost 3 of your armor slots, except if they've been affected by the artifact. If you look at the artifact for this season in the second column, there are a ton of discounts to all the different type of energy specific mods. If you decide to use harmonic siphon, that only costs you 1, but it requires you to be on that same subclass. Otherwise, you won't generate orbs of power. In the glove slot, there is the heavy-handed and firepower mods. When you get melee kills and grenade kills respectively with those different mods, they generate orbs of power. In addition, there's the Reaper mod, which goes on the class item, but that's currently disabled. Basically, you get a kill after you use your class ability and it generates an orb of power. Another way you can do this is by using the fragments on your different classes. A great example of this is the Echo of Harvest Void fragment. There's also the Empowered Finish mod. If you use 2 of those with stacks on stacks, you can infinitely loop your armor charges, giving you special ammo, melee energy, ability energy, just tons of abilities. So basically, that's all the way you generate orbs of power and get armor charges. So that's the first half of the build crafting system. How do we generate orbs of power and build up armor charges? So now that we've covered that first half, let's go to now the in-game objects. So they're similar to the way that the old arc solar void wells were created, but instead of mods on your armor being used, they're built into the fragments and aspects on your subclasses. Again, these objects help to generate different types of energy in your abilities, and it's a key component of build crafting that most people are not covering. You want to be generating as many of these as you possibly can, because then it will help you to spam your abilities like we did back in the old system. So let's do a rundown of all the in-game objects and the easiest ways to create them. First up, we've got the arc classes that give us ionic traces, and that's going to give you just more general ability energy. For the Titan, we've got the Touch of Thunder aspect, where you do damage with pulse grenades that will give those ionic traces. For the Warlocks, you have the Electrostatic Mind aspect. For the different fragments, we have the Spark of Ions fragment. Specifically works when you're defeating a jolted target, so you can actually jolt targets in a number of different ways. For example, you can use Volt Shot on different weapons and then defeat enemies and create a lot of ionic traces. You can also jolt enemies by using Spark of Instinct or Spark of Shock. In addition with that, we've got the Spark of Discharge, and there's a couple of weapons that can also create ionic traces, and that's the Delicate Tomb Fusion Rifle and the Cold Heart. Hunters, you don't have any aspects that are specifically tuned to generating ionic traces, but you can use any of those fragments that I mentioned earlier to generate ionic traces for hunters. Moving right on to Void, we've got our Void Breaches. That generates class ability energy. First up, we have Echo of Cessation, where you defeat volatile targets, the Echo of Domineering, the Echo of Instability, and the Echo of Harvest. Moving right along, we've got our fire sprites for the solar classes. That's going to generate grenade energy. We've got our Ember of Tempering, our Ember of Combustion, and our Ember of Searing. There's also a mod this season in the artifact slot that helps to generate fire sprites as well. Now for stasis, we have these stasis shards, which were the formula for all of these things, and they generate melee energy. These are all aspects for all the different characters. For example, on Titan, we have the Tectonic Harvest aspect where you destroy crystals that will generate shards that you need. For Warlocks, we've got Glacial Harvest, and that's generated by freezing enemies. Finally, for Hunter, we've got the Grim Harvest where you kill enemies affected with any stasis effect and it will generate shards. Now we have our newest contender. We've got Strand, and there's two things here. We've got the Strand Tangle and the Threadlings. Now these are different because they don't generate any ability energy, but instead they're used to deal damage. Tangles can be shot, dealing damage, or be picked up and thrown. These are created anytime you kill any enemies with the Strand debuff. Most commonly, this is when you grapple or suspend or sever enemies at any time. The Threadlings are creatures woven by strand matter that seek out and deal damage to enemies. So those are all the in-game class specific items, and now you know how to generate them. What you need to do now is put the two systems together. We need to find the synergies between these in-game objects, the mods, the armor charges, and the different exotics. That's not as hard as it seems. In fact, Bungie has helped to organize it a bit by adding color codes to all the different mods to help you understand them. We're going to make this super duper simple, everybody. So here's how it goes. Any green mod will add an armor charge and extend the time of the charge. For example, you've got elemental time dilation. When you pick up an armor charge, it extends the amount of time that you have on the decaying charge. We've also got charged up, which will give you an additional charge on your character. Green mods add armor charges and extend the time of the charge. Any of the blue mods signify when you get a single armor charge will decay over time and give you a buff of some sort. For example, for intellect, if you're using Font of Wisdom. This is also where we find the surges, which are on the leg armor. This helps us to buff our weapon damage when we're picking up armor charges. The yellow mods consume armor charges and do something immediately and more powerful. For example, all of the finisher and utility kickstart mods here generate something. Now we've got the white mods after that, and they don't have anything to do with the armor charges, but instead they show you how to generate orbs of power or bonus energy. They give you ammo reserves, whether it's generation or reserves. They boost your stats. There's recharge rate for swords, specifically with Lucent Blade. This is where they give you unflinching aim, dexterity, and also resistance to different elements. So let's just go over that really quickly again. Green mods add armor charges and extend the timer. Any blue mods signify getting a single armor charge that decay over time and give you a slight buff of some sort. Yellow mods consume armor charges and do something powerful. And the white mods don't have anything specific, but they show you how to generate orbs of power or some of the other stats. So that's how everything is organized. How do you actually set it up? Here's a simple way to look at it. You're going to use your helmet and your arms mods to generate those orbs of power. So for example, if you look at the helmet mods, most of them are designed to actually give you orbs of power. On the arms, you've got heavy-handed and firepower, and then on your class item, when it's not disabled, you've got the Reaper mod. All of these are the ways to generate orbs of power. If you look at the armor charges from the chest piece and legs, there's really no way to generate orbs of power. So this is where you're going to build your buffs into. So once you understand how to make the orbs of power, you want to figure out how you want to use those things. Do I want to generate abilities, get resistance, get ammo, have a buff for my stats? This is when you choose the blue and the yellow mods respectively to figure out what you actually want. With those, you want to be thinking about how you generate ability energy with the in-game objects and figure out how to leverage that all together. So let's actually show you how to do this with my build. I covered a stasis build a few weeks ago, one that generates almost infinite abilities, and I was able to recreate it in Lightfall. Now I did have to change a couple of things, but that's easy to go over. So this is my Stay Frosty Hunter build. This is my build I covered, and what I can do with this is leverage all of those things that I was talking about to get basically infinite ability energy. What I'm doing first is leveraging Frosties, which give me the rapid cooldown, where if I'm sprinting, it gives me energy in my abilities, but I'm also leveraging that together with the Whisper of Shards. So what I'm doing is I'm chucking a Duskfield grenade, and I have Touch of Winter, which means that when I chuck my Duskfield grenade, it puts a small stasis crystal on the field. I break that, use that together with Whisper of Shards, and then run around just a little bit because as a hunter, I'm usually always running together. And then I'm able to increase my grenade recharge rate almost infinitely. Pair that with the amazing new bow from the season pass, the Vergless Curve, and I'm actually able to make even more stasis crystals on the field. And when I pick up those stasis crystals, I can then use them together with Heavy-Handed and create multiple orbs of power when I defeat enemies. Now, I've also got Stasis Siphon on and Harmonic Siphon, but I'm also going to put Void Siphon on if I want to change to a weapon that's not necessarily stasis, or say, for example, I want to take these stasis weapon surges and do something different. What I can do is just plop on the weapon surges here, and then I can use a Void weapon here and still leverage the build. So this is a perfect example of the synergy between the in-game objects like the Stasis Shards, the Void Breaches, and the Solar Fire Sprites, as well as the armor charge system. Let's show you how that works. So the stasis shards give me more melee energy, right? So I combine that with the Withering Blade, and I damage and slow targets. Anytime I kill them, it's going to make more stasis shards, which will allow me to get even more melees. Together with that, I can put that together with the Heavy-Handed mods together and make more orbs of power. Chain that together with the Stasis Siphon or any other siphons I want to use, and I basically can get infinite orbs of power as long as I'm killing enemies. I can have infinite grenades, I can have infinite melee abilities, and orbs of power for days. I can then choose whatever type of weapon I want. Say, for example, if I want Void or Solar or Stasis, I can choose what I want using these surges. So let's show that to you in real time. Let's show you how the melees work together. For example, here's the Shurikens working together, and you can see I'm getting some kills with my melees here, and I'm making a ton of stasis shards, and I'm never having any issues getting my melee back. I've got 3 armor charges in the bag. Let's show you how the grenade recharge works. I am not using any grenade recharge mod, but I'm leveraging the exotic. I'm shattering the crystal here. I'm getting a freeze. I'm running around a little bit, picking up the stasis shard, so I have more melees ready to go. And then boom, I've got my grenade again. It takes me maybe 2-3 seconds to get it back. I'm not wasting any armor charges, so I can save that for damage. And now here I've got a little bit of an armor charge ready to go. I've got my stasis weapon boost ×3, which is a significant amount of damage. So you can use the different surge mods, and depending on the weapon type that you're using, if you stack them together, you get increased damage. So for example, one mod will give you 10% damage increase, 2 mods will give you 17 damage increase, and then 3 mods will give you 22 damage increase. So this is just one way to buff your character in an interesting way that will take advantage of both the in-game objects and the mod system together. Hopefully it gave you everything that you needed to create some builds of your own, but we're going to be doing a ton of build guides and things like that here on the channel. I'm going to put the Destiny Inventory Manager link down in the description box below, and while you're down there, if you like something in this video, blast that like button and subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. I'll be doing a ton of build guides as well. You should also swing on over to twitch.tv/ManoDestra, where I help tons of people with endgame content like raids, Grandmasters, exotic missions, and more. Good hunting, y'all. I'll see you in the next one.